Good morning. Let's see, this is day 3. Welcome to day 3. Getting packed up. Really excited. Got a bit of a drive this morning, and we're going to Twin Arches. We're going to go to Pickett State Forest and go to Hazard Cave. And we're going a couple of other places today, and I forgot where they are, but we're getting there. All right, I'll get packed up. We'll get on the road. All right, we just turned off pavement. We're back in the park, and we are driving a few miles on gravel road. So in May of this year, 2 tornadoes came through this area in one big storm, and there's a lot of blowdown. In fact, I was told that this just recently opened about a month ago. It took that long to get everything cleared out. Well, I have to say I was a little concerned about these gravel roads and getting lost out here, but they are well signed. So if you come here, don't be worried. It's really easy to get around. Okay, I'd like to read this off while we're here just because I don't have this information on me. There are 2 arches here, a north arch and a south arch. The north arch has a clearance of 51 feet, a span of 93 feet, and the deck is 62 feet high. The south arch has a clearance of 70 feet, a span of 135 feet, and the deck is 103 feet high. While we're here today, we're going to do the 1.2 mile Twin Arches Trail. You can attach a lower loop trail of 3.7 miles to that. And then from there, as you can see by this map, this is that lower loop. You can then take another trail to the Cherritt Creek Lodge or Hostel. You can take another trail over to Slave Falls. And then it connects to a lot of other trails out in this direction and down in this direction. You just hike for miles out here with the interconnecting trails. But I'd like to get into Pickett State Forest today, so we're going to do the small loop. I'd like to come back in the future and pick up the rest of this, though. There's so much to see here at Big South Fork. I'm only going to be able to pick up just some of the highlights in the week that I'm here. Definitely plan to come back. And when I come back, I'll have an itinerary and be able to get quite a bit more. In fact, this may be my new favorite park. It's beautiful here, and there's a lot to see. Plus, you have Pickett right next to it, and there are other parks and forests within this area that are quite close. One of the interesting things about this hike is on the way out, we're going to walk across the top of both of the arches. And from what I'm told, you won't even know that you're there until you get to the bottom. We'll have a steep staircase to descend to get to the bottom. And the arches are so large that you can't see them both together. You have to walk from one to the other. And then there's a series of ladders to get back up on this trail. This sounds like it's going to really be fun. You know, I bet I'm on top of one of the arches right now. Wow. I didn't realize the distances were as close as they are. I could spend the entire day here in this one area, and it's tempting. Cherritt Creek Lodge is one of the, if you've ever been to the top of Mount LeConte in the Smokies, it's the same company that runs the lodge up there that runs this one. Same concept. You're staying in little cabins, no electricity. Your light is kerosene lanterns. You eat at community tables around kerosene light. Jake's place is a historic farm in Slave Falls. All right, so if you remember your history in the Underground Railroad, the slaves escaped the South to the North during that time using the Underground Railroad. And Slave Falls is actually named after the slaves that would hide there. It was part of the Underground Railroad. You have a waterfall with a large rock shelter behind it, and large groups of them would hide out there behind the waterfall on their way north. It's really tempting to spend the day here. I'm going to take a break, pull out my maps. I may change my plans. All right, I'm going to change my plans. I don't know how well this will show up on the camera. I'm parked here. I'm on this little loop trail right here. I'm actually at this red dot. If I go down a couple of miles, I'll get to Jake's place. And a couple more miles over here, I'll make it to Slave Falls. Then I could just come back the same way and finish this little loop. Then after that, I could go over and hike. This gravel road I came in on is up here, and I could come back and hike this Middle Creek Trail. Then I still, hopefully, I'll have to get back to the road, the paved road, 154, and go up into Pickett State Forest to the visitor center and at least pick up some literature, because there's a whole lot to do there too. And at least I'll be ready for a future trip. So definitely winging it, and that's fine. We're still under the North Arch, by the way. I haven't located the South Arch yet. And then from here, I'll go right, which is my plan after I locate the South Arch. 2 miles to Jake's place, 3.5 to Slave Falls. It's on the same trail. So it's only 7 miles. 7 miles out and back. So I hope to find the South Arch, do the out and back, end up here, and then do that 7/10 back to the parking lot. And then I should have time for Middle Creek. Okay, so I think I saw the Southern Arch from a distance. I'm headed the way it looked like it was now. So today's my last day here in the Tennessee portion of the park at the Bandy Creek Campground. And tomorrow I am headed, interesting. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm having problems here. Okay, let's look around. Okay, so I see the Southern Arch. If you're out here looking for it, just follow the short trail on the lower loop to the Cherritt Creek Lodge, and you'll see it off to the right. Spiderweb. So today's my last day on the Tennessee side of the park, which means that if I run out of time, I'm not going to make it to Pickett today. And tomorrow I'm heading up to the northern end of the park in Kentucky. I may not have time for the Red River Gorge. There's so much more to do here than I expected, but that's okay. Future trips. Wow. 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 So at the LeConte Lodge, they use a llama train to bring in supplies, food, and like fresh linens, everything they need up there. And then they helicopter in the propane because they heat the cabins with propane. Here, it looks like they have to have people pack in everything for the lodge. That would be a rough trail to be carrying a load on. Okay, we're on our way to Jake's place. I'm not expecting to pass any really large rock shelters today. At least I haven't found any information on it. But I'm traveling along huge bluffs. And I do know that in the larger rock shelters, the local Native Americans and the long hunters would camp in there and build fires. And so the roofs of those are covered in soot still from a couple of hundred years ago, or longer, actually. Wow. Imagine being here when this rock flaked off. You know, I find it interesting to contemplate how Europeans were exploring these areas long before this country was established. Boy, I can't even picture how wild it was back then. This trail is awesome. It's just a series of one bluff after another. Still lots of down trees on this trail to navigate. Boy, this happens a lot. Here I am underneath this humongous bluff, and the trail just ran out. Nothing but boulders and a steep drop. A real steep drop. So, not my first time, not my first rodeo here, is it? I'm gonna figure something out. Boy, what I wouldn't give for a blaze. But they don't blaze the trails out here, except for the Sheltoe Trace and the John Muir Trail. If you're not on one of those two, you are just gonna have to figure it out. It does make it more of an adventure, but sometimes it's pretty frustrating. I'm gonna show you what I'm looking at for what maybe is the trail ahead, but it sure doesn't look like one. All right, so somewhere through there. Echo. I'm thinking is the trail. And you can see we've got a pretty steep drop off all around the edge of this bluff. So I'm going to try and scramble through that and come around up on the left. I'm hoping that there's a trail coming out of here, and if not, then I'm going to have to backtrack and see where I missed it, maybe. You know, I'm actually thinking I'm going the right way. This is crazy. But here ahead of me now looks like the possibility of a trail. Wow, look down here. That's a lot of rock flaking off. Well, that was it. We are obviously back on the trail. Wow, that was fun. So generally, when I'm lost, what I do is stop, look around, think about where I've been. Hopefully I wasn't daydreaming. And then I'll forge ahead just a bit to where I know I could get back to where I was when I realized I was lost, and then I'll backtrack. And usually I realized I missed the trail somewhere and I was off trail. But when you're out here, you got to just keep going. Every time I've kept going, I found the trail. It was just not obvious in that area that I was in. You know, for example, a couple of days ago when I was on the Angel Falls Overlook Trail, and I stepped over the caution tape on the ground and then got under that bridge that was washed out in the middle. If I would have jumped off the bridge onto the top of that giant boulder, found a way down off that boulder, and then gone through that humongous boulder field to finish the gorge, somehow found my way up that steep embankment to the base of the bridge that was on the other side, I would have found the trail and I could have made it to the overlook. But boy, it sure didn't look like that's what you were supposed to do. You ever make up little songs, little ditties in your head when you're hiking along? This one keeps going through my head. Ticks and chiggers, mosquitoes and midges, gnats and flies. Ring the dinner bell because here I am. This down tree, I had to go under the trunk at the top of the switchback, and then I have to go under the top of the tree at the bottom. Well, I'm really surprised at the number of blowdowns still blocking the trail. Seems like we're at the bottom of the gorge now, and it's deeply shaded. And the temperature is a little bit cooler too, which is really nice. I am drenched in sweat. Improvised shower tonight. Well, according to the sign, we're at Jake's place. Or we just passed Jake's place. I need to find it now. Well, it looks like Jake's place is this pile of stone. It's cut stone. So definitely it was used as a base of a chimney or part of a foundation. That's Jake's place. but it was really close to that little spring, so that makes total sense. Ticks and chiggers. Those are pretty. So are these. Now that's the campsite. Right here down in the valley with the stream running next to it. Wow, that balancing act with that stone for a seat looks pretty cool. Here's the stream that runs next to the campsite. And there's like a little island. You can see a little path on the island, and the stream, it splits the stream. Boy, somebody put some work into that. Well, I'm marking off locations for future backpacking trips. Now this is a really cool trail intersection, and it's well signed, which is impressive. So we came from this way, and that's the campsite actually just over there. So we've gone 2 miles since the Twin Arches, 1.5 miles to Slave Falls. Middle Creek Trailhead, I would drive to the trailhead from the Twin Arches to go there. Then we have this bridge, long bridge over a stream. Cherritt Creek Lodge, a smaller bridge. So no matter which direction you're coming from, you know which way to go. That is awesome. Well, we're heading towards Slave Falls now. Oh, this is such a beautiful stream. Look at this upstream. Here we are downstream. Okay, so we just left a hiking only trail, and once we crossed the bridge, we entered a multi-use trail. So hiking, horses, motorcycles, four-wheel drives, and you could tell by looking at this trail, definitely get a four-wheel drive back here. And some of the people with horses actually haul wagons on these roads too, with their horses. So the rule for vehicle use, I'm going to say because that includes motorcycles, is that it has to be licensed. If it's an unlicensed vehicle like a dune buggy or something like that, you can't have it on these trails. I mean, those rangers have to find some way to ticket you when you're doing what you're not supposed to do. Bear scat. At least it's not fresh. So hiking down here in the gorge really feels like hiking in the Smokies. You got this trail cut on the side of the hill, same vegetation. I like it. Boy, that must have been quite the storm this last spring. I've walked by dozens of these. That was a giant tree. All right, let's see if I can get in here. This is not Slave Falls, but I'm happy to see water, which means there should be some at Slave Falls too. Oh man, this feels like being in front of an air conditioner. This is wonderful. So not only has Tennessee been in a drought the entire summer, but this would be the driest time of year anyway at the end of August. So I'm happy to see water in the streams. I wonder what this berry is. I've seen it all over the place. I'll look it up later and hopefully I can figure it out and put it up on the screen. I've hiked through a lot of mountain laurel thickets too while I'm here. This place would be pretty late spring, early summer. Boy, I'm a terrible judge of distance out here. Every time I get to a marker or a sign that tells me how far I've walked so far, it's only half of what I thought it was. Yes. I was beginning to worry that I'd passed it somehow. You know, it's kind of interesting that we're coming up out of the gorge. I expected to be down at the bottom for this. Oh, this is really pretty. Wrong way. I just noticed this bluff above me. Goes for a long ways, it looks like. Okay, I think we're almost there. I can hear the water, but it sounds like a trickle. But in the spring, it's quite fantastic, though. Oh, wow. All right. I bet we could get down there. I need a wider lens. Oh, this is beautiful. Wow, there is a lot to this place. Okay, I made it down to the stream. I just have to make it back there. Well, there's no way to capture all of this in one, well, on this lens. Wow. This will make you feel small. Oh, look at that. Okay, I'm going to try something. I don't know if it's going to look good. I'm going to scan across the top of this shelter overhang, and then I'll come back around the middle bottom. Of course, the sun's going to blast me out here. Where that crack is in the rock, that's where the water's coming down. Then it comes way out here. And then it continues for a long ways on that bluff. Okay, so now we're in the middle part. I don't even know how tall this is or how deep it is. Whoa. Oh yeah, that feels good. Whoa, shit. Jackie, don't watch this part. Oh yeah. Wow. All right, so now we'll hike back to Twin Arches and finish that 7/10 on the Twin Arches loop back to the car. All right, I'm over halfway, but I just realized this hike back is a long 3.5 miles up out of the gorge. So I stopped over here at these rocks to take my pack off and get a drink. And I saw what looked like sunshine shining through the roof of this big shelter cave. And I walked over here and checked this out. How cool is that? I totally missed that on the way out. And we're back. All right, 7/10 of a mile. We'll get back to the car, see what time it is, and plan the rest of our day. Hopefully, at least the Pickett State Forest Visitor Center is open. I at least want to get some information about that place for future trips. Just one more look. This is just amazing. Both arches are. This is a nice walk in the shade. Boy, these are steep hillsides here. Here's your next truck, Jackie. Just in red. Okay, it's 3:15 or 2:15. I think I'm back over the Central Standard Line. So it's 2:15. So I have plenty of time to get to that visitor center at Pickett. And there are a couple of, looks like really short trails. The Hazard Cave and the Indian Rock House, I think, is the other trail. So I'm going to go to the visitor center, see what I can find out, and maybe we could get 1 or 2 more hikes in before we have to go back to camp tonight. Hard to imagine this is a state highway. Not very busy. I like it. Okay, so we're going to hike. We're in Pickett. We're going to hike the Indian Rock House Trail. Directly across the road from us is the Hazard Cave Trail. Okay, so I did stop at the visitor center and got some good information on camping and a trail map with all their trails and the distances on it. So that's pretty nice. Most of them are still closed right now, or parts of the trail. For example, when we go to Hazard Cave, it's only a 1/4 mile from where we part down to the cave. But then there are a lot of trails to interesting features that are closed right past the cave. In fact, that's as far as you can go. Now the quarter mile each way, it's, from what it sounds like, a quarter mile downstairs and then a quarter mile back up the stairs. We'll see. And then here on this Indian Rock House trail, it's 2/10 of a mile to the Indian Rock House. I didn't ask them what either one of these were, but I'm under the impression they're both shelter caves. And then the trail's closed past that point still. There's a little side trail just off this little lookout point. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but there's definitely a shelter cave down there. It's probably where we're headed to. Boy, it's nice hiking without a pack, especially since the back of my shirt is mostly dry. Oh, this is big. Yeah, the place I was standing was up at the top of that rock bluff there. Boy, I like these short trails. This didn't take any time at all. I've heard there are a lot of arches here in the Big South Fork area. I'm surprised people don't talk more about how many shelter caves there are. Oh, this is really neat. You're not allowed to, but what a fun place that would be to camp out overnight here. Boy, it is nice and cool. A lot of water dripping down from the top. Oh, I bet it dropped at least 20 degrees coming down into this place. Probably more than that, since we're in the 90s. We've got to be in the 60s right here. It looks like it goes on for a ways. Let's take a look. Whoa, yeah. Well, that's a lot of trees down. It's hard to get an idea of how big this is. I know it's got to be way bigger than it looks on camera. I just can't squeeze it all in. It wraps around more than 180 degrees. It's closer to 270, I'd say. 270 degrees. Yep. Pretty much a horseshoe shape. Well, that was a whole lot of wow for very little effort. I like that, especially after the last trail I was on, which was still a whole lot of wow. It was worth the effort for sure. Now we're going to cross the road and go to Hazard Cave. And the cave was named after a person, not because it's dangerous. All right, so we'll cross the road and go to Hazard Cave. First, we better stop and look for traffic. Ah, no one that way? And no one that way. Guess I could take my time. Do 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 do. And there we are, Hazard Cave. Let's see if these stairs are as bad as the ranger made them sound. I expected these to be a quarter-mile long. This isn't too bad so far. Oh, it's too bad there's a natural bridge here, but it's close. Too bad. I want to see more arches and bridges while I'm here. So I never heard of a natural bridge before coming here, and I inquired as to, more stairs. What the difference is between a natural bridge and a natural arch is a natural bridge has water flowing under it, and a natural arch doesn't, and that's the difference. Look at this, they have blazes in this park, and they're pretty close together too. Oh, this is pretty. I haven't gotten much of this action since I've been here. Long green tunnel, or a rhododendron tunnel, whichever you want to call it. They're pretty. Wow, another blaze. It's pretty awesome. Well, this must be it. The stairs weren't bad at all. Nice. Oh, I feel the air conditioning already. Oh yeah. All right, so I'm gonna show you across the top. It goes on much farther than we can see from here. Now let's see what we have down here. Besides nice, cool air. Ah. Oh yeah. I could sleep in a place like this. Oh, this goes on a long ways. I would usually not just leave the camera on like this, unless I was like in a kayak or something. But this just seems appropriate for where we are right now. Wow, this goes on a long ways. I wish I could express how, the temperature is wonderful and the air is so fresh. It's got a bit of, like you can sort of smell some water in the air. I'll pick you up a little ways down. All right, I know how to describe what it's like here. It's like being in a cave. If you've ever been in a commercial cave, then that's exactly what this feels like. Oh, this is deep. Wow, that's deep. And then unfortunately, the trail is closed beyond this point. But you know what? I'm really happy to be here. Well, I forgot how tall this is, but I know it goes back 500 feet. And that is some really nice, cool sand. Nice, soft, cool sand. Would be wonderful to sleep on. I've got to just put that thought out of my mind. I'm definitely coming back to this park. Give them some time to get the trails open. See what else is here. Well, this is about all I have time for today. So I'm going to get back to the car, head to the Bandy Creek campground, and then we'll see you there. All right, I'm driving through Pickett. This is Pickett State Park in Tennessee. It's right next to Big South Fork. I'm in the cabin section. I just drove through the tent camping area. They have a 12-acre lake here you can rent kayaks and canoes on. A lot of hiking trails. There are still 9 trails closed because of storm damage when the straight line winds came through, but they are going to be reopened. They're working on it still. Oh, there's somebody in a kayak right there. Oh, a suspension bridge over the lake. Okay, these cabins have electricity and air conditioning. Jackie, I see a future trip. I'll do the hiking and she'll do the cabin life. Well, I'm back at camp and my tent's still here. I thought I'd take a little walk around the Bandy Creek Ghost Town campground. It's a Monday evening. Oh, there's a squirrel. I don't have the place to myself. It is so strange to walk around this campground and not see another person. School's back in. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. But this whole area, I'm walking around the little cul-de-sac or whatever you want to call it at the end of the road. And these are the larger campsites for 2 vehicles. It's packed when I got here over the weekend with kids and families, and it was, bikes and balls and dogs. It was fun. It was loud, but it was fun. This is that's what makes this feel strange, because it's quiet now. This would be like the great beginning to one of those post-apocalyptic movies. I wake up, unzip my tent. Maybe I should write a movie script. It's been a great day. I had to go for a walk. My legs really stiffened up after that drive back. It wasn't that long, maybe only 15 miles, but I've been walking so much these past few days that they get stiff pretty quick in the car. So let's see, it's a couple minutes before 5, the pool's closed, the ranger station's closed, the kiosk for the campground's closed. Bathrooms better be open because that improvised shower is definitely in my future. Still pretty toasty, still around low 90s. I like it to cool off a bit before the shower, and I'm not hungry. I should be. Guess I'll just continue to walk around. Saw some turkey on the dry bank just outside the campground. I'm surprised that I haven't really seen that much wildlife. I spooked an owl today under one of those large shelter caves, and he just kind of flew off. And of course, you're going to see the squirrels. Haven't seen a bear. I've only seen 1 or 2 deer from a pretty big distance. I expected more wildlife, I guess. Here's our bathhouse. In the middle is a double bowl sink for dishes. There's a water fountain there. So I saw several people on my return hike to Twin Arches when I was almost there. And they were all looking for the South Arch. And I have to admit, there's not really good directions, and it did seem to be kind of in a weird spot when you were looking at the trails that were out there. But I always just kind of explore around an area. You never know what you're going to see, and that's how I found it. So I was able to direct them over to where it was. They were headed towards Slave Falls, where I was coming back from. The farthest away the one couple was maybe a half mile. They'd really gone out of their way. But that was nice to be able to save them the steps. Today was a wonderful day, though. I've never seen that many shelter caves or natural shelters, whatever you want to call them. Around here they call them caves. I don't know, I have a problem calling it a cave, I guess. But I've never seen so many before, and such large ones too. That was just fantastic. Tennessee's two largest natural arches, the North and South Arch. That was pretty cool. I know there are a whole lot more arches in this park, but I don't know where they are. But I've seen the pictures, and they look pretty spectacular too. I don't know how far that road goes, so we'll go this way. This feels good walking again. I'm gonna have to figure out something for dinner. I'm gonna have to develop my appetite first though. I haven't had breakfast or lunch. I did have, what have I eaten today? I ate like one of those oats and honey, little granola kind of bars, and some peanut butter crackers. That's it. Wow. I'm surprised I have so much energy. Sorry, I'm just kind of looking around at all these empty campsites. As you can see. That were full until, well, I don't know, until I came back from that Lytton hike on Sunday. And then it was starting to clear out pretty quick after that. Tomorrow, I'm going to pack up, probably pretty early. Then I'm going to head north into Kentucky, go to Blue Heron. And I'm not sure what hiking I'm going to do because the campgrounds, you can't enter your campsite till noon. I like their hours here. You can, well, this is on the Tennessee side. I don't know about Kentucky, but you can check in from noon or later and you have to check out by noon. So there's really like no, gap in there. That's kind of surprising. Hopefully it's the same at Blue Heron. There's a lot to do up there. I'm really looking forward to that. Once again, I won't have enough time to do everything I want to do. It's about 50 something campsites. I don't have a reservation. I'm just winging this whole trip and it's a blast. So I have to say, I do still have a few days here, but I'm ready to get back home. Spend time with my wife, with my family. I had to take this vacation. It was like a use it or lose it type of thing. And this was the last week I had available before I lost it. I didn't remember my anniversary date at work last year and lost 3 days of vacation and swore I wouldn't do that again. So it's still last minute. And I didn't know I'd miss out on the family dinner for my grandson's birthday. When I planned all this out, I'm kind of sorry I missed that. That would have been great. But I'm having a wonderful time doing something I've never done before. Well, a place I've never been before. All right, looks like I'm back at the campsite. I'll get back to you later. All right, I've got everything charging. Dinner's rehydrating. While I'm eating, I'll plan out what I'm doing tomorrow. Then I'll take my little improvised shower with the sanitizing wipes and the microfiber towel. It works surprisingly well. Unfortunately, I have to put the same clothes back on after I take that shower. I've only got one more fresh change of clothes left, and I've got 4 days to go, so I'm gonna have to stretch it. But you know what? It's still gonna feel better than not having that shower, that's for sure. I'm sitting here editing this video for day 3 and realized I forgot to say good night or anything to close out the day while I was out there. So I'm going to do it now. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow for day 4.